Hey, Adam,
What's up?
can you see me?
I can see you. Yeah, you're right in front of me. But
I wonder if everybody can hear us right now.
What do
Hey,
you think?
Adam,
what's up?
can you see me?
I can
Oh, I guess
see
so.
you. Yeah, you're right in front of me. But that answers that question.
Should we let people see our new? I'm so excited about our new setup.
I know,
I mean, is
man.
it that new though?
It is new. It looks amazing.
To us, it's exciting,
Go ahead.
but we don't know.
Go on.
You know what? Let's just tease it. Look, boom, boom, boom. Oh wait. No, that didn't even do it. It's still not there. Sorry, pressed the wrong one. Boom.
Oh,
Back to that.
people are getting impatient, man.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Can't see. Bam! There we go. Look at us. There we are. What's up, Adam?
What's going on, man? How's
What's-
it going?
It's good. This is our second annual,
Our live.
our
yeah.
second weekly live, and we are moderately more together than last week. So I'm excited about that.
Look at us here on YouTube. Look at that setup. We're like real life YouTubers, dude.
Yeah. Look at you. Look at that beautiful blue, the You'll Hear It thing. I got the
You'll hear it.
right here. I got the theme song here across my breastplate, as it were. Stip-a-dip-a-doop-a, in case we forget that. And yeah, we're having a little fun here. What is this portion of the segment we're gonna call it?
This is just like we're just kind of we're letting the room fill up.
That's what
That's
I was
what we're
looking
doing.
for.
That's what we're doing.
That's what I was looking for. You know, I love hearing that. How's everybody doing? What's up, Anthony?
Yeah, what's going on?
What's up, Amy? Adam, Joyce, Raphael, Tour Talk. Man,
So-
we got some friendly faces here.
Yeah, we got some Yao Ming's friendly face. Anthony's a friendly face. Of course, Amy and Adam. We're talking, music and piano, and hit us up with whatever you want to talk about. We'll talk about pretty much anything on these live things.
Yeah, we're gonna make the live super interactive.
I want to say a big happy birthday to Sonny Rollins today.
That's right. Big shout out to Sonny Rollins. And when we do the intro, how about if we do a little Sonny Rollins on the intro?
Like a little,
Yeah,
yeah?
let's do that.
Let's do it.
But we're still letting the room. Oh, happy Labor Day to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's
Shout out
Labor-
to all the union folks out there.
That's right. We're big AFM guys here, American Federation of Musicians.
What?
Big support. And even though the pension fund is broke, apparently they send me letters every week saying
no,
it's insolvent. That's okay. That's all right. I'm glad I put it into that for so many years. No, but big shout out to all the unions. I hope everybody's enjoying a day off. We are not. We are.
We're working here.
We're
We're
working.
working hard.
And look, I'm kind of dressed up. Well, we're going to talk. Let's wait till we get into the regular episode to talk about. We got some exciting new courses going on, both you and I together
Yeah,
and
man.
separately.
Yeah, we both put in some work today. I'm finishing up a brand new course on bebop enclosures.
Yeah.
It'll be called Bebop Enclosures for
Wow,
beginners.
you're really shrouding in mystery there, aren't you?
I'm finishing up that tonight. Oh yeah. Also, Pete.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Gary Peacock. This
Yes.
weekend, man.
Yes, yeah, that was very sad news. And listening to his music, I was listening to it a bunch as soon as I heard. I always like to do that just to
Yeah.
remember them in that light. And
You know
what
what's-
a force in this music.
You know
what
what's
a
so
force.
weird is I believe he passed on Saturday. Or it
Mhm.
might have been Friday night.
Yeah,
Friday morning, I
about
went for a
Saturday.
very long walk and listened to one of the standards, like Standards Volume 2, I think, and was just marveling at his playing. And it's a couple times it's happened where I've been really caught up in someone's playing and they've passed suddenly. It's weird.
Yeah, and I thought Jack DeJohnette. I hadn't heard any words or statement from Keith Jarrett yet, although it might have happened. I'm sure he's devastated. But Jack DeJohnette's, I think it was his Instagram post, really captured their playing relationship and personal relationship. I think and just kind of his work beautifully. All right, what else do we have to do before we start the? I like the Sonny Rollins idea. I think we should do that.
Let's do it.
Okay, so maybe we'll go here.
I like our new lights, man. The blue lights back here. Well, anyway, hit us up if you have any questions about anything. This is kind of our space to take your questions and talk about things that You'll Hear It listeners want to talk about.
Yep.
We got our pianos here, so we can.
And if you don't ask any questions, this thing is going to be shut down immediately. Oh, someone was asking about Jill Henderson's stuff. I'm working on Serenity. That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
great tune. Yeah, we'll definitely get into that.
Yeah, we got to hit into that.
There's one chord actually that Joe Henderson, I was lucky enough to hear directly from him the correct chord on it. So I always like to try to pass those things when you receive them directly from the master, as we would say.
Here's a good one from Jeff about playing rapidly changing major 7 chords. It's going to be a little bit hard, or a little bit similar to the Joe Henderson thing, actually.
Right.
I was just thinking.
Yep. Wynton's funky. Yeah, Amy, I don't know much about that album. We are in talk. I don't even know if you know about this, Adam. That we were supposed to be doing, but it got pushed back a little bit. An interview with Wynton, specifically about that album and some other things. Right here on the You'll Hear. Maybe we could do it as part of this show.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
I've been in communication with him on that, which would be just always be fun.
That'd be
he had
incredible.
an interest. I got a little intimidated though because we had that on the books, and then I saw him on Bill Maher last week. Bill Maher kind of tripped up a little bit on Wynton, which was interesting.
What happened?
Well, he started it out. He was like, I guess we should do this when we get in the show, shouldn't we? Are we in the show? What's going on?
I mean, we're kind of in the show.
Yeah,
You
we're
really
kind of in
start
the
the
show.
show? We can
Yeah,
really
let's start the show. Let's start the show, and then we'll talk about that. All right.
Wanna try it?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me start the audio here.
How's the balance, everybody? Maybe you could let us know that. Are you enjoying my melodious voice and Adam's melodious voice and our melodious pianos? Let us know what you think of the backlighting. I'm putting on my radio voice, Adam. Have you noticed that?
You do get kind of sing-songy when we start the show, I've noticed.
I get excited. It's a little adrenaline's pumping, you know.
Ready?
Balance is perfect, yeah. Hey, Adam.
What's up?
You know whose birthday it is today?
I do.
Who? Sonny Rollins, happy 90th birthday.
What?
Oh, we got to start again. All right, no, we're starting again. Okay, we can do better. We can do better. Hold on. I think it's still playing. Okay, see? This is what happens. All right, vamp for a minute. I'm going to get this going again. Sorry, folks. You know what? I didn't like what I played on that anyway. Wait, how do I get to go back now? Okay, I think I got it. All right, we're going to start it again. We're going to start it again. What do you think about that, Adam Maness?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Hold on.
He's warming up. He's warming up. He's getting loose. Let's do it.
All right.
Okay. Establishing shot? Okay. Hey, Adam.
What's up?
You know whose birthday it is today?
I do indeed.
Whose? Happy birthday, Sonny Rollins!
I'm Adam Maness.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Daily music advice coming at you.
Coming at you today. We are live again on YouTube. We're taking your questions. If you're listening to this right now, come to the Open Studio YouTube channel every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. We're taking your questions. We're having a good time.
We're having a little bit of fun here.
Yeah.
I had us on black screen there for a minute, but that's okay. That just adds to the drama, as they say.
Shout out to you, Peter, for you're actually producing this show. You're playing piano with your right hand and you're producing the show with your left hand. I don't know how we're doing this pandemic-wise, but we're making it happen.
Well, we're sharing duties a little bit. You're producing the audio over there, right?
Yeah, in that
Wait, did you press record?
Oh, shoot. No, I did. Yeah, but that's literally, I came in. Here's how producing the audio goes. I came in, I turned the computer on, and then I pressed record.
Well, yes, but you're producing the lighting. This is really we've distributed out the jobs here, right?
We've tried to shoulder some of the work between the two of us.
Yes,
I think it's working.
I
But
think it's good.
today, okay, so we are honoring one of the greats today turns 90. The amazing Sonny Rollins. I think for Sonny, I mean, I don't know about for you, Peter, but when I think of Sonny Rollins, we talk a little bit about what we use to like get people who aren't into jazz. Sonny Rollins is one of those people I use all the time. Like I give people St. Thomas saxophone Colossus,
Yep.
From Saxophone Colossus,
Yeah.
as an intro.
Yeah.
And then also just he's just full of all this deep, wealth of really beautiful music that spans now decades, like 5-6 decades.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
amazing.
easily.
Amazing.
Actually, no. I mean, he's 90, and he's been, you're talking about 70 years plus of powerful music. And I was just thinking about that. Like Sonny Rollins is he's kind of like Roy Haynes in that, he's always there. He's always around, always doing his thing, and I think he's gonna always be around. It's that presence, even though he's not performing as much as he used to. He actually kind of cut back on performing a while ago, not because of health reasons or anything. I mean, many years ago.
Yeah.
Because my understanding was, and I remember hearing an interview with him talking about this, like he wants to play when he feels moved to play.
Yeah.
And I think he was always in a pretty good situation in terms of taking care of his financial stuff or whatever, that it was never like, okay, I have to work for the money.
Yeah.
And so he always wanted it to be a special thing, and he would always kind of wait to see how he was sort of being moved by the spirit of music, what it would put upon his heart to play, and, doing the solo saxophone stuff, the duet stuff, the trio without piano, with, larger group stuff. I mean, it's always been exciting projects.
I was listening to an interview with him just driving over here today that was on the radio, and it was from the 90s, but they had mentioned that he actually stopped performing in 2012.
Is that what? Okay.
He hasn't played out
I remember
since 2012.
Right.
But they were talking in the interview with him from the 90s about how he would just periodically just say, you know what, I'm not going to perform right now. I need to work on, I have something specific that I want to work on, and I'm not going to perform until I feel like that's ready. And that takes a level of honesty and courage that is, I think, very rare.
Yes.
If you think about someone who, especially when you think about maybe that period, the bridge period that everybody talks about, where he practiced for 5 years. He took a break from performing at the peak of his career.
Yeah.
He just stopped.
Yep.
And because he had something that he wanted to work out, and he just, the legend now goes that he practiced every day or night on the Williamsburg Bridge until he was ready to go. And then he was talking to Terry Gross on this interview as I was listening to it on the way over here, and he was saying that she asked, like, how did you know when you were ready to come back? Which is a great question, by the way.
Yeah.
And he was like, I had something specific I was trying to accomplish. I didn't feel like I ever quite got there. Like I'd never quite accomplished it. But he's like, at a certain point, I just felt like any more of this would be a little self-indulgent, which was such a Sonny thing to say, and so humble. And you know what I mean? Like he's working it out, but he sees this greater purpose that he has, and so he went back to it. Of course, that record, The Bridge, the first record he made when he came back,
it's incredible,
amazing.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go seek out that interview, because I can just hear him, with his voice. Well, Terry, I'm sorry, I'm doing a bad version of it, but but yeah. Well, happy birthday, Sonny Rollins. I was thinking too, Sonny's like that connection, that direct link that we have to our elders in the music. And I don't just mean old people. I mean elders from the sense that, like, Sonny represents that kind of integrity and, depth in the music that's kind of a beacon for all of us. That whole thing of, like, if I'm only going to play if I need to play. I'm going to do what I'm placed on this earth to do. And we always need those beacons and those markers, those folks. I mean, and you think about a lot of the ones that we have in the music that had this passion for the music and would do anything for it. We don't have a lot of them anymore. Like Sonny's still here, Roy Haynes. I mean, we just lost Jimmy Cobb, a few months ago, and McCoy Tyner. I mean, these are like legends. These are like just you say their names, and it's Sonny. One word.
Sonny,
it's like Prince.
Michael.
I
just think about the musical courage that Sonny Rollins displayed his entire career, just from the way he played, from the way he improvised, from the way he just played straight from his heart, straight from seemingly, all of our collective consciousness. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's very, very inspiring. It makes me want to be a more honest person, honest musician. You know what I mean? Like to really like look at yourself and say, like, even though I have, this career established, I need this time to work through what's most important to me, which is playing great music. It's courage that I can't imagine, and I'm very envious of.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, we've got a bunch of folks on here. We want to just say, thank you guys so much for joining us on this Monday afternoon, which is our new time. We even thought about, it's a big holiday today for our second week, but we thought about it, but we never wavered, did we? Well, we thought about wavering, but we didn't really. We're like, we're going to be here. So we appreciate you guys being here to share this with us. And I saw somebody, Eddie or Edie from Aalborg, Denmark. I love Denmark. Every time, I love a lot of places, and I've been fortunate to go, as have you, Adam, to some really cool places around the world. But Denmark has just such a special place in my heart.
I've never even been there. You vacationed there, not just played, right?
I did. We did a beautiful family vacation a couple years ago, in Copenhagen. Had a great Airbnb. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, Denmark's so expensive. Yeah, because it's so great. It's so great. That's why it's so expensive.
Did you make it to Noma?
We went to Noma. We did not dine at Noma. We walked around. It was actually closed when we were there. Yeah.
They were in Mexico at the time, probably. Right?
Well, they were in the middle of moving locations, and the new location was it wasn't open, but we got to go in and see it. It's a beautiful, incredible place. We have a friend who went to Noma, though, I think. Didn't Sean go to Noma?
Oh, he might have gone.
Of course, he went
to.
Right.
He did. Seems like something Sean would do.
We got somebody else from Denmark. Cheers from Denmark. Mika.
Danish are all up in this.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Well, we got a couple questions here on YouTube already. We have actually several questions that we could totally hit. And the first one was from Raphael. And he says, yo, I was wondering if you guys can go over some Joe Henderson stuff. I'm working on Serenity, and it's a really hard tune. That is a true statement.
Yes. And, so... Yeah, see, that's as much as... Yeah. So that chord right there, Joe Henderson showed me this. It's actually A half diminished. I think it's wrong on like a fake book chart or something. And then A flat minor. And I can't... Something like that.
Yeah. So there's nothing too complicated with the melody. So
No.
I must be assuming that Raphael's talking about the changes.
Yeah.
And just how fast some of these, like that thing, right? That right? That old chestnut.
Yep.
So I don't know. Did he say anything about these when you played with Joe? When he was talking about this.
He didn't say anything except for that the one
Except
chord.
that one
I played
thing?
C minor. He's like,
And he was like,
I think he just like sat. He like kind of over at my shoulder at the piano was just like played that, or maybe he said A half diminished. And I was like, yeah. And I don't know if I want to say that they on that original recording played it wrong or something. Because there's been several instances where he's like, yeah, just cause they played it right. He was such a laid back.
I don't think I've ever played it with an A half diminished there. It's always been a C minor every time I played it.
Yeah, it's definitely half diminished.
But do you think that these, and I'll have to go listen to what was being played on the piano on the original recording, but this like A flat, major 7 sharp 11, is that kind of, do you think it's that kind of inner urge sound? That sound?
Yeah, I think so.
That Joe was known for?
Yep, I think so. But it leads so nicely that A half diminished to the A flat minor.
On that
Yeah. Yeah. Woo.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yep.
Yeah, so how would you approach something with all these false cadences and then some like that whole step movement? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think those kind of false resolutions or non-resolutions, false cadences, I think it's important to really, like, we're always trying to think melodically, of course, but like as you improvise over this, this kind of a tune is to really think about some kind of longer phrases that can stretch over those chords, because you don't want to segment your playing, because it just makes it makes it more obvious that there's not a connection there. And really the melody, just like the actual melody as you're improvising a melody, is the thing that connects it and makes it such a pretty cohesive form, you know. So you have to just really think melodically and be you know, fearless like Sonny Rollins, to be able to, like Joe Henderson, to play over those chords and to kind of get into some situations that you may not be exactly sure where you're going in reality.
Let's break that down a little bit. Like, what does it mean to you to play melodically?
I think it's really thinking horizontally instead of vertically. Like no chord running, no scale running, like really creating melodies. So I think you have to know the form so well that you're not thinking about the chords at all, because as soon as you start thinking about where you're playing vertically over each chord, you might play some cool stuff, you might play the chord changes right, and you might kind of luck up on something, but it's not going to be melodic in the truest sense.
Like, I think one thing you can think about, Raphael, when you try to play over this is maybe thinking of using themes not based on scale or chord, but based on rhythm and interval, and trying to overlay that over some good sounding notes over the changes. So instead of like, you know, like running scales, running chords, scale running, chord running, you might think of like, you know, like really trying to focus on coming up with themes, especially when you practice that stuff. Like, you know, you wouldn't necessarily want to think that hard about it as you're performing. You just want to let it go and play. But the point of practicing in that way is to get yourself in that mode where you're like, okay, I don't want to be like, sometimes I think it's cool to think about what you don't want to do, right? Like, I don't want to be just running scales up and down, as you said, horizontally and you know, and as opposed to vertically. Like, I don't want to be just like or just whatever that is, like doing like my insert bebop lick here or whatever, you know what I mean? That's where it kind of gets to be a pretty rough situation, I think, especially on a tune like this, where it's like that functional harmony doesn't really serve you.
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah, and I think if you see, like, if we take the cue from the melody.
Well, now you're talking.
So that, okay, this part. And then this is kind of like the sub melody, you know, it's really all one phrase. So you got, like, if you take out like all the things that are leading to different places, the longer notes. So that's sort of the shape, and it's stretching out over those whatever 4 bars. So when we improvise, and if you think about the way that the song is constructed too, it's waiting. It's like doing pickups to the next chord. So as opposed to just once you get to the solo, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like where everything's starting on the thing, you might be like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
so
like
you're
that.
Waiting,
whatever that is, I want to do that.
Yeah, you're waiting and you're delaying, and sometimes even either delaying or anticipating the next chord before you get there. That's the thing. You got to be fearless about that. So you're on D half diminished, and it's going to G, you know, whatever that is, kind of sharp 9, flat 13. So I'm already kind of playing over that G before I get there. So that's already one way to connect it. You know, don't be like so robotic where it's like, I'm not at the chord yet, so I'm not going to play it. That's the quickest way to make your playing vertical.
Well, let's connect this question to a question here from Jeff. It's literally the...
We can have nice things, but they don't always stick. See,
need some packing tape up in this. So Jeff asked something that's kind of along the same lines. He says, "Can you guys talk about playing over rapidly changing major 7 chords? Started working on Steps by Chick Corea. Turnaround goes A flat, E, D flat, B. I can do okay on this slowed down, but this tune is really fast." So I don't actually know. Do you know Steps? I don't know Steps, but I do know Inner Urge, and there's a similar situation.
Yeah,
where it goes through this pattern here, and this actually kind of ties into that Joe Henderson question too, in that when I'm playing that, I don't want to be doing this.
Right.
that's the last thing that I
Yep.
want to be doing.
Well, and I think too, a lot of times, like you might have some good melodic content in there, but if you do want to do some kind of, little triad, 1, 2, 3, 5 kind of things, is use rhythm then
Right.
to make it more melodic. Because that's the whole thing. Is like the goal is to create melodies over this stuff and not just arpeggiate chords or run up and down scales. So you can use, something like, oh, you were doing another. Oh, so like if you think about it. I don't know. I'm just kind of making stuff up now, but like if you're thinking about that end result of that melodic thing, you can actually use some triadic stuff. Just don't play it in a symmetrical way, like a way that's going to lock you in.
Yeah, and Jeff, you can find with that leading right off of that, you can find common tones amongst the triads. Like if we're doing this. I can kind of lean on a couple of different notes.
You might have to lean on looking at your shoes if you keep playing like that too.
I can do that all day, man. Come on. But this is a great way, I think, for me, so that I'm out of this like I don't know, just doing these like throwing your hands at it in a way that doesn't seem like you're actually making music.
Yeah.
Again, I'm feeling so inspired by Sonny Rollins today that I just kind of want to play different versions of Sonny solos.
I know. And then the other thing is you can take some of these, so you got D half diminished. Is that right? Yeah. So you might take something that's a little bit unusual, but really commit to playing something nice melodically. So like I would actually think about like a C triad over this, oddly enough. So you've got C triad over that D half diminished, right? And then you go to the G7, you've got a D flat triad. Because I mean, what's easier to make? There's nothing easier to make sound melodic than a triad,
Yeah.
But what you don't want to do is,
how gazy do we want to get at our feet? Because we could do.
Yeah. Okay.
No, we don't.
No. We could. I mean, no. I mean, this is all. But it's like, so if you.
That's nice. That's very good.
But I'm thinking about big melodic phrases. I'm not thinking like, let me do something on the second and the third and the fourth beat of the first bar, stretching into the second. I'm thinking about like, how do I stretch this all the way into the whole next phrase, And you're going to make some so-called mistakes, but the more melodic you get and the more you commit to it, the more you can get away with just like totally, as long as you know the form, and you're still playing it with your actual melodic improvisation, your story, you can waver far from that.
Cool. Thanks, Jeff, and thank you, Raphael. Great questions.
Yeah, man.
Gabriel asks, can you burn some locked hands over rhythm changes in A? I mean, we could do a lot of things.
Oh, yeah, we could, but,
I feel like
I
he's
don't even know what
goading
that
us
means.
into something. I feel like he's goading us into something. Hey, what's up, Pickin' Stones here? What's going on, Alex?
Pickin' Stone.
Yao Ming Hui says, how would you practice a 2-5-1 progression from the simple to the more complex? And in what intervals would be best? So you start with 2-5-1.
Black Bear, Brown Bear, or Battlestar Galactica, which is best?
That's right. No, so how would you practice 2-5-1s? In general, Yao Ming, right now, at this point in, I think, our playing, we're really doing most of our practice over the context of a song that we're working on. So
Yeah.
I very rarely anymore will just practice 2-5s just to practice 2-5s. Like it's really not helpful, I think, for me in the way that I want to play right now. Right. That's not to say that you would never do that and that we've never done that. I've certainly worked on like voicings and actually in some of my open studio courses that are like guided practice session based, we go off of 2-5-1s. I would say that if you're at that stage and you want to work on things in the context of like common chord progressions like 2-5-1s or even 1-4-6, 1-4-3-6 2-5s and stuff like that, or Coltrane changes, anything like that, is to practice it in as many keys as possible.
Yes.
Practice it in different durations so that it's not just like. Don't look bored when you're doing it.
I love your bored look.
But not just that, like one bar each, but 2 beats each.
Yeah.
1 beat each. All of those come into context in tunes, practice the different tempos, practice everything you play with your right hand, with your left hand.
Yeah.
In this regard, you can really, I mean, you have so much to practice in a window. If you think about all the variations that you could put on simple things like a 2-5-1, and then practice, identifying where you can use these in tunes. I think that's the key too, is to start to really piece together your voice as a musician. You need to be able to identify these little snippets that we're taking out to work on exercises into like actual practical ways.
That's great. The concept of practicing in all keys, sometimes we give it a little bit of short shift, whatever that is. We don't give it its due because it's not like, oh yeah, that's like practice with a metronome. But this is such an important concept. Beyond, you have to be able to, you want to be able to, and you need to be able to play in all keys. So it goes beyond that. This goes to the core of like, how do you get creative and increase your vocabulary and your comfort level over 2/5s? So by going through the different keys, it's not just about learning in those keys. It's about forcing you to play something differently, forcing you into an uncomfortable position. So if you're just practicing like, 2-5-1s that are easy, or that, whatever, to E flat, to C, to the ones where you are more familiar with, you're going to play the same thing. But if you take that exactly like, see, I already forgot it, but like you would take something, and then you go up chromatically and start to play that like you're forcing yourself technically, you're forcing your ears into this new situation, and that's where you can really benefit from 2-5-1 practice, because like you say, it could be 1-4, 3-6, 2. I mean, there's all different progressions of blues, rhythm changes, all different things. But the thing is, like, how do you extend it to start to learn something new, to get your hands into a new position, as opposed to just playing the things that you know in that key already?
So, and then down below, I've noticed that Yao Ming said simple to complex voicings is what he meant. And we didn't really talk about.
Oh, but why did you say that? Oh, you did. Why didn't we read that?
This can be very quick because simple to complex voicings are very easy. So start with root, shell, and pretty, right? This is like what we preach to really get you going on good sounding voicings, right? Root, shell, right? Which is, we're going to say is 3 and 7 here. And then one pretty note. Start with one pretty note. Bam. And then do the same thing on the G7. So here I have D, F, C, E, right?
Yes, you do.
Root, shell, pretty. Then root, G, shell, F, and B, right? 7 and 3. And then pretty.
Yep.
E, which is the 13. And then, I don't know, what about like,
I like it.
right? C, E, B, D, right? Root, shell, pretty.
I've actually been, I haven't even told you about this yet. I have a new concept on extending this. So that's root, shell, pretty.
Yeah.
Root, shell.
No, not in that order.
No, that's right. Root,
shell, pretty.
No. Okay, root, shell. And so, like, what if you want to go root, shell, and instead of pretty, you want to go purdy? Oh, that's purdy.
Oh, that's so purdy.
Like you down south, you going purdy.
Peter, that's so purdy.
Down south St. Louis is what I mean.
That's what Tennessee.
So that's the way I talked. Fun fact about Peter, talking about myself in the third person, age 0 through 5, I talk like that because I was born in Central Florida, which is a scary place for accents.
But there is a point, Yao Ming, and I don't know how, I mean, I know this is how you think about voicing somehow, but I think about it like this too sometimes, where you just have the sort of the color palette of the chord change, right? And it eventually just becomes of the melody and the tune and everything, where you can just kind of cluster some things. Like, I know I can make some good voicings kind of by laying my hands where almost intuitively, I mean, there's definitely some principles working here that start with root, shell, pretty, but you get to a point where I don't have to follow those rules. I can break some things to where, you go Herbie Hancock level of just like, oh, you want a D minor? How about this? And it sounds amazing, that kind of thing. So
that's root, shell, extremely purdy.
That's just all purdy. That's just all purdy, which is great. Alan asked, Peter, wondering how would you describe your style of playing compared to Chicory and Keith Jarrett? How are you different, similar? play examples.
I
So
would describe
Peter's-
myself as superior to those
Oh,
gentlemen.
yeah. You're not going to really be able to do this with any kind of balance to
No.
it. So, but I can do this a little bit for you.
Okay.
Like, I'm not gonna put you up against Chick Corea and Keith Jarrett, but you're of the generation that's younger than them, at least by 1, maybe 2 for Chick, right?
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
I think he's 80 almost.
isn't Herbie's a little older than Chick, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah.
Anyway, but you're so much younger that it's so different because Chick didn't grow up with a Chick,
Right.
to look up to, and you certainly are influenced by both of those players. I can hear it big time. So I would say that, style-wise, you're just of a completely different generation. It would be like comparing, Keith Jarrett to Bud Powell or something. Like, it's just totally different. You have everything that happened with Chick and Keith and everything that happened before, and then everything happened in between their careers and when you started playing, which is basically like the 70s. Not that their careers stopped, but
Right.
all the things that happened as they were going in the 80s and the 90s
Yeah.
as you were developing. I think it's hard to describe the difference of what you have absorbed from them. Plus, you're a whole different human being. You lived in New Orleans and definitely have the flavor of that city in there. You're from St. Louis. You have the flavor of this city in your playing as well. I think
Yep.
it's really hard to do. I mean, it's hard to even compare like Chick and Keith in
Right.
that regard, even though they're of the same generation.
Yeah, and then Vladimir thinks he just pointed out they're actually almost exactly the same age. Herbie's 1940, so he's 80 this year, and Chick is 41, so just a little bit younger. But Chick is no spring chicken. Chick Corea is in such good shape right
Dude,
now. I mean, he's always
He's gonna
been.
outlive all of us.
I know he's he's just, and he's so inspired now with the his academy and the studio and all the stuff he's doing. And I mean, he was traveling, he's been touring like heavier I think than he ever has. And I mean, Herbie too. I mean, like those guys are so appreciative and of the opportunity, I think, to be playing still at such a high level, to have their minds and their bodies, their health at such a high level, as far as I know. And I mean, I've seen them both recently, and they're both just glowing with, health and wellness in a way that's very, fundamental. But I would just say that, Chick and Herbie are so associated with each other, I think, because of their influence over our generations of pianists and the generation maybe that's a little bit before. I mean, if you talk about like, I don't even know, like would you say like a Cedar Walton? Certainly, I mean, well, he's an influencer as much himself, but like Larry Willis and like all these great, everybody basically at each of the ages, it has been influenced. But for me, like I was probably more influenced by Herbie, just because of what I was listening to. I got into Chick a little later. I just always listened to more Herbie, Wynton Kelly, Thelonious Monk, and not because I didn't like Chick stuff. I just didn't have his albums at first.
Yeah.
And so then I kind of got into them a little bit later. So in some ways, I'm like more influenced by hearing Chick Corea live over these past 25, 30 years, which has been
it's an amazing
pleasure.
experience. To
Yeah.
hear the sound coming out of the piano is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of those players.
Yeah. And when you hear somebody like that live, I mean, any great pianist, it's kind of like the recordings can only take you so far, you realize,
What they can do out of a physical instrument in front of you is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like that for a lot of us. For sure.
Go
Yeah,
on
no,
now.
it's true.
No.
Bruce asked a good question. Adam, I'm a guitarist trying to learn jazz. I know that you play guitar as well, and I was wondering how your thinking differs playing songs on guitar versus piano. So I do play a little guitar, but the guitar for that that I play is used for writing songs and for playing not as much in a jazz context, but more in that folk pop context that I love to play in.
Yeah.
And so as it's my secondary instrument, I don't actually think about like creating new chords. I just know some shapes. It's one of those things. It's very intuitive for me. I actually like it as an instrument for writing music because I don't know it as well as piano, and I can get out of my head a little bit and just rely on my instincts and my ears to do it.
Yeah.
Our buddy Alex here, who is a guitarist, though, chimes in with some great stuff, which is true of all the sort of well-known shapes, Bruce, on the guitar. You start with the shell on the D and the G strings, especially for some thicker jazz voicings, which is what we're talking about on the piano. Root on E and A. That's pretty much what you're always going to do, except for when you go a little bit higher up the fretboard, you could do root on the D string and a little bit smaller chords. Our buddy Romero Lubambo has an amazing course called Bossa Nova Jumpstart.
Yeah.
That has a very rudimentary and incredibly simply explained version of pretty much every kind of basic guitar voicing. I think he brilliantly lays it out in a very easy to understand way. So if there's any kind of beginner guitarist looking for better, solid jazz voicings, go check those out. Even though it's in a bossa nova context, they borrow heavily from each other on the harmony, and he is a master at voicings. He really is.
Well, I think that's actually a nice place to pick some things up, is in that bossa nova context, because you can, I mean, look, you're not going to sound, full disclosure, you're not going to sound like Homero Lubombo after you go through that course, but you're going to be able to latch on to a little bit of that beautiful feel that he has, and tap into that Brazilian bossa nova style with some basic chords over some basic tunes in a way that is similar to, say, learning like a blues or something, in that like sometimes you can overachieve and get into a sound that maybe you don't quite deserve to be in because of how long you've studied, if you learn in the right way and you really pay attention. So you're not going to be able to do all the details and everything, but you might be able to get to that kind of essence of that, of that great feel. So
and Eduardo asks, how much of your soloing is prepared stuff, patterns, licks, and how much is new stuff that you come up with in the moment? So I think, to be clear, Eduardo, when we're doing it right, technically everything is something that we come up with in the moment, just as I'm coming up with this sentence in the moment, even though the words I'm saying have an established history, right? It doesn't mean that I'm inventing words as I come up with this sentence, but I am creating this idea. And I think that's more akin to what you mean by patterns and licks, is we all have a vocabulary as musicians that we rely on to make music. And so I don't want to speak for you, but for me, it's trying to expand, like the work is trying to expand my vocabulary whilst
that's
I'm trying
so
to
fancy,
trying to expand
my liege.
No, like I think I you derail me, man. I was going on something good here. No, I think the work of great artists is trying to enrich the content that we have, like expand the content we have, while we're trying to get better at expressing that content clearly.
Yes.
Those two things are crucial, and so that's what we're always working on here.
Whilst creating, once upon a time, we shan't not create something that...
It's embarrassing.
No, it's good stuff. That's good stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think, it's always... it's such an interesting thing to both musicians, but especially to just listeners of jazz, like fans of the music. It's such a fun thing to be like, wow, how much of that is worked out, and how much of that is just, are you coming up with it in the moment? And I always think about it like, it's very hard to pin that down, because on the level that you're talking about, everything is you're coming up with it in the moment, right? But then again, there's nothing that you can play. Like most of these phrases and things that we play, we're not like little precious snowflakes of which there's no other one in the world like that. Everything's been played before, but it's just like but the nuances of how you play something are what make it striking and important, and like how you inject your personality and style. And it's kind of like, you ever see somebody like you're driving and maybe they're walking and you recognize who they are, like they might have a big winter coat on and everything, but the way that they move, or you haven't seen somebody for a while and they lost a lot of weight, you would think you couldn't recognize them, but they still walk the way that they walk. They're who they are by how they move. And I think that like how we play is very much that. The notes that we put together, of course, are important, and but all that's been played before. But it's like the style of how we're going to put something together. As long as you can stay true to yourself, and like at least that's the goal, and you're not regurgitating something that you think somebody thinks you should play, or that somebody, like, you can play something that somebody else played, because any note that comes out, somebody's already played it.
If it's honest, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so put your style, be confident in what your style, just like, just to be an original speaker or thinker, you don't have to come up with your own language. You can speak English or Portuguese or Japanese or Swahili or anything.
Right. I said,
if you know the language.
I said you don't have to come up with your own words, but you don't actually have to come up with your own ideas. You can just simply put a shade on an idea, and that makes it new, and that makes it interesting to folks, and that's a valid way to express anything.
Yeah.
to put your own spin on an idea. You know, it's there's nothing wrong with that at all.
You've actually been throwing shade on a lot of my ideas lately, man. What's up with that?
What are you talking about?
No, you just said put a shade on. I was making the joke.
I gotcha.
Which are always fun when you have to explain a
That
joke.
was great.
That's the sign of a great joke.
Great idea. Pick and Stone, Alex says, what about playing over quick chromatic 2/5s like at the beginning of Stablemates? Challenging to be melodic, but Miles, Train, Hubbard, Blue Mitchell, Dex knew how. Yeah, that's right. You know, and
What's
if
the tune? Sorry,
like Stablemates.
Stablemates.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, and
where it's
like something like that. Which, you know, if you listen to or you transcribe what those great players are doing, they're not complicating things at all.
No, in fact, I think like for that, I always think about like how do you simplify it? Like not so that you're avoiding playing the changes, but so that like we were talking about earlier on Serenity, so that you can create something super melodic. So to me, that's like. I'm trying to remember the tune. Okay, yeah. So you got E. Boom. I would be thinking about that as like A. You know, maybe A sus to A flat sus to D flat. So already you've got half as many chords.
Exactly
right?
right. Exactly right.
So when you're improvising. So that you can really start thinking about a simpler framework to improvise over, and you're still within the the harmonic realm you're supposed to be.
Simplifying like that can make everything. You know, it's like when we did our intro, right? Like if you had to actually navigate, you're gonna get into some just start from the beginning there again. 2, 3, and.
Oh yeah, I love playing
that's
like that.
where we
love
don't
that,
want to
man.
get into, right?
Yeah.
So we want to. This is another way we're simplifying things. It sounds so. It's so logical. It just makes me want to be logical. No, what we do there is. So if I'm on this, this 3, 6, 2, 5 or whatever, I might change it up between the 3 and the 6. I probably won't.
Right.
And really the 2, 5, 1. I'm kind of borrowing from different melodic ideas. I'm not really anymore. I'm not thinking about like D minor 7, G7, C7. It's really just all kind of key of C, and maybe I'll add some tension at some point. Something like that, but really simplifying, as you mentioned there, especially when you get into like, like that, once I go to G flat there, I'm not thinking like 2, 5. I'm just changing keys and relying on my instincts and doing this over and over again. Now you do have to practice things like 2, 5, 1s and what are the difference, but
you got to know what it is first so that you can leave it,
exactly.
and so that you can float on top of it.
What you want to do is get to a point where you know it so well that it becomes instinctual, and then you can try some other shit on it.
Come on now, some other shiznit. Are we gonna get barred by YouTube for our foul language here?
Alex then asks, best Bud Powell record? For me, it's The Genius of Bud Powell.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Buddy Rich and Ray Brown.
Yeah.
1950.
That's a good one. I don't know. Bud Powell, yeah, I mean, his stuff has been repackaged so much.
That's from, it might be from The Amazing.
The Amazing, that's the one The Amazing, like Volume 1, Volume 2, but that's been repackaged too.
But yeah, if you're just getting into Bud Powell, I like going with The Genius of. It's got that T for 2, the dun, 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 dun. It's so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be a little faster than that. Yeah.
Killing.
Good stuff. How to practice rhythm context like odd phrases and some displacement from Melody Shine. I don't even know what that means.
Wait, say that again?
What? Melody Shine, she says, how to practice rhythm context like odd phrases.
Oh, she must mean like over the bar.
Yeah, and some displacement.
Yeah.
Well, the displacement I think is kind of tied into what we were talking about before, as far as like your like letting your personality come out. Like you don't want to have rules by which you do it, but you might want to have a way that you do displacement, and that really comes down to like just like when we want to leave or dance on top of the harmony with our melodies.
Yeah.
Like if you really know the form and you have a very good confidence in your feel, and your ability to, kind of play over this groove, then you can start to look at the displacement that you do as just like another kind of dramatic turn.
So give an example of some displacement.
Okay. But it's all about, like, that one was corny, but you have to resolve it at some point. You can't just keep displacing forever. Let me try it again. So, like, I'm and it doesn't have to be on one like I did at the second A, but you have to resolve it sometime, because otherwise it's just displacement for the displacement's sake. And it's kind of like, syncopation. It's not syncopation if you're constantly going on the upbeat. At a certain point, it's got to be gang. Like, it has to have some kind of resolution.
Yeah.
But
Otherwise, you're just playing off the beat all the time.
Yeah. And the displacement can be rhythmic like this, kind of where you're using the melody and you're stretching it off. But it can also be, some of the stuff we talked about on Serenity, where you're displacing your approach to the melody, to the chords, with what your melodic improvisation is. So if you take like there's a lot of displacement built into that melody of Donna Lee. And since this is the 100th birth month and year of Charlie Parker, this is appropriate. So you've got A flat major. We're still A flat major. This is just a passing note. But now we're on F7. But we've got 4 notes of still straight A flat major before you get to the F7.
Yeah.
So there's like some harmonic displacement. And then same thing, B flat 7. Everything's like delayed there.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of interesting stuff you want to put into your playing. I hear too many people play the melody and then they get to the solo. They're like, as opposed to equally as sloppy, but a little bit more displacement in there.
Yeah.
And then even things like that, like, you can displace your resolution from the obvious kind of thing. And like Betty Carter used to love to do this, and I learned a lot from playing with her, even for that short time, about how, you do it at the unexpected places, and then you come back with that and of 4, and it's like, bam, there you go.
Hold on, we got some feedback here. So we asked for balance audio-wise in the beginning, and everybody said it was good, but now we're getting some people. Bill and Matuitz says, the show is fantastic, but unbalanced audio makes it a little bit uncomfortable to watch. What is unbalanced?
Yes.
What's too loud or what's too soft?
Are we spiritually unbalanced or audio unbalanced? Oh, maybe the pianos are too.
Yeah, is it the pianos versus
the pianos
voice,
are high,
and which one is too loud and which one is too soft?
Well,
Let
look,
us
we can
know,
look at the
because we can
meters there.
adjust all of that.
So that's up in the yellow. You play a chord, Adam. That's up. But when we're talking, we're lower. So maybe we should go a little lower on the. Is that? Are we allowed to do that? Who's controlling?
The pianos are too loud.
Yes.
Well, we can easily take care of that. How about this? Oh, yeah. That's a little bit more balanced. This should do it.
Nike says free content, no bitching. No. We actually appreciate
No. We want it to be good.
We want it to be good, right. We don't see that as bitching at all.
Is that a little better? Should be a little better.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know if that's better. We're learning.
Piano's too loud. Cool. Yo. Better?
Just check 1, 2. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, piano volume is better now. Yao Ming. Okay, every time I hear that name, I just think of the great basketball player Yao Ming just dunking on somebody, which involves him jumping up about 4 inches off the ground and then dunking.
Peters is louder. No biggie. I hear you, Nick. There's some good questions here about I think this is from A Practice. I like that username. I think one of the things that makes Sonny Rollins one of the greats is his way of developing themes and tunes versus playing scales on changes. What do you think about this aspect of improvisation? I mean, as we've been saying, this is such an important thing. And I've been thinking a lot about how to practice that. Like, again, that's why I kind of wanted to ask you, Peter, about like, what do you think about when you think playing melodically?
Yeah,
I think it's a big, what we'll call a overhead goal of all of us as artists. And so I think A Practice, one of the things that you can do that's so effective in your routine as a practicer to get this is to sing. what you play,
Yes.
even if it's in your head.
Yeah.
Like if we were to do that, let's do that. Can you support me on that?
Yes, sir.
We might as well keep on with the St. Thomas for now.
Okay.
But like even if I were to play, so if I were to just run my fingers over this, then it becomes like I can do all my language stuff or whatever. But if I were to try to sing while I'm playing, it's totally different, and it gets me more to that promised land. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Singing displacement there.
Exactly, but we can really hear that that's a lot different than just like
Shabba-doo, dabba-doo, dooba-doo, bow.
right, which is fine.
Saying
if I'm
no one
hearing
ever.
it, it's fine.
Right.
But if you're not hearing it, it gets weird.
Well, and did you check out even the way that Adam started that solo once he was singing? He was like da ba 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 doo bop, like you really clued into telling a story, like, and capturing the listener's ears immediately. And that's because, that's the way we sing. That's the way we hear things. That's the way, when we pay attention and when we're concentrating from that standpoint, as opposed to just letting our, as I used to say, the yellow pages. I don't know if you remember the yellow pages.
Yeah,
let your fingers do the walking.
Yeah, Southwestern Bell. Remember that?
Oh, come on now.
When you had to dial a phone like an idiot.
Hello, exchange. Who can I connect you with? Hong Kong Phooey.
Now you're just like Tesla. Call my wife.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it as, we want our fingers to be following what our ears are hearing. Playing what we hear. You'll hear it. That's the whole point of this whole podcast. But I mean, that's not that can be a kind of a cliche, but singing a solo will pull it right back home for you. It'll force you back to da ba 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 boo da ba 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 boo de baby da ba boo do ba de boo be boo de ba be boo be boo boo do boo de boo be de be be de be be de be de be be de be de boo be do be do ba boo ba. Yeah, jazz.
There it is. Now we're too quiet in the room. I can barely hear what we're playing. So
I know. It's okay. So we're going to vamp a little bit while Adam readjusts. So this is fun, man. Thank you guys so much for being here. This is going to be I think it's our new little Monday tradition. I think this is what's happening. Yes. Ooh. Yao Ming says, yes, Peter, the basketball player and I share the same name, but although our names sound the same, our names are written in, interesting, in different characters.
That's good though.
Okay. Very interesting.
So Mika says how to condition yourself from playing just with muscle memory or fingers. So this is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is singing more. I love it. Alex says, or sing and put your fingers over the keys, but don't play the keys so that you're do da 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 da. But getting really the way I like to think about it, Peter, is there's a pathway, right, from our heads, from our heart, however you want to think about it. There's a pathway of music that's in us,
yes,
that needs to get out to our instruments and then get out to our audience,
and then enter the matrix.
No. Yeah. But
maybe not.
The idea, like this kind of work, is we want to clear a pathway for that, right? We want to, if you imagine a path in the woods, right, and it's just overgrown and you're just running your fingers over your instrument, you're just pressing buttons and no music is really happening, right? It's such an overgrown pathway. We're taking our machete and we're clearing away.
Right.
Sounds violent, but we're trying to get that music out from our souls out to, first of all, this box of buttons, but then out to people and other people's souls. And that takes work, and it takes doing this kind of thing where you got to think about clearing a space for that path every day. It can't just be about what note sounds good over this chord. You have to listen to a ton of music to help with this too. That can't be overstated. You have to listen to music every day. You really do. That's one of the clearest ways to clear that path. Yeah,
I mean, that's exactly that's it. I can't even really add much. I can just to reinforce, listen and listen and then engage, as a musician with what you're listening to. I think sometimes we It's great to enjoy and listen for enjoyment, and of course, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's one of the biggest joys ever. But you know, we want to engage as practitioners of this craft. So we want to sing along to what we're hearing. We want to stop it and see if we can find at the piano, at the guitar, maybe at the drums, maybe at a different instrument, find another angle, another entry point. It's like if you're studying film, if you want to be a great film director, you're not going to look at, you know, The Godfather Part 2 the same way a fan is going to look at it, where you're like, wow, that's such a cool story. And you're going to be like, wait a second, let me pause it and see what is the angle? What is the cinematography here?
Yeah.
What is that? So like, we want to know it from every angle. We want to know inside and out. We want to know it upside down. We want to know it in different keys. All these things are to give us confidence as musicians and to further our skills.
Man, I was reading a book about how masters of any craft spent their time, like these really nerdy professors did this study where they analyzed diaries of people like Beethoven, Mozart, and even like Da Vinci and Einstein and whatever they can find on, you know, the greats.
Wait, was that Leonardo da Vinci or Leonardo DiCaprio?
I said Da Vinci.
Oh, Da Vinci.
I don't know why you put
I knew it was one of the
Leonardo in there.
Leonardos. I couldn't remember which
Anyway,
one.
no, but so one thing to think about this is you think about clearing that path, and again about listening to music, and you were just nailed it about why it's so important. But one thing that has really changed the way I think about listening to music is to take some of the, like, what should I be listening to maybe out of the picture. First of all, listen to things that you want to listen to.
Yeah.
First and foremost, like, don't just rely on what other people tell you should be listening to. Follow your heart into what you should be listening to. And the masters would apparently spend, an average of 3 hours a day consuming what it is that they were famous for making. So Beethoven would listen to concerts every day, or listen to or study other people's music every day. It was probably the way that he did it at that time. But they would also spend time doing things from, like, older established works, and mix that with newer works that were kind of challenging perceptions at the time, which is something to think about. It's really changed. I know this is a kind of a long way around to get here, but like thinking about, like, okay, I'm going to listen to like some Sonny Rollins, some older Sonny Rollins tonight, and maybe I'll listen to a new Sonny Rollins later, or maybe after that I'll listen to like Logan Richardson, someone who I think is, you know, on that same level, influenced by him. You know what I mean? Like, really mixing up the old and the new when you're listening can really help you to not only just learn a bunch of new things that you might not be exposed to, but like put it into context in a way that is very helpful for our monkey brains.
Absolutely, yeah. Faith comes by hearing. Faith comes by hearing. Not trying to get all religious on this holiday, because it's not a religious holiday, but, you know, that's what's up. What's up, Luke? Luke says, hey, guys.
Hey, what's up?
All right, maybe this will be our last question, because we got something else we got to do after this.
That's true.
And we're going to make this a 1 hour program, I think, right? Because people love us for an hour. I've noticed after an hour, the love affair with you and I goes down quickly, right?
Yeah.
So Luke is asking, should this be our last one, or do you have another one? I didn't mean to preempt
We can do
you.
whatever you want. I feel like these are, we're just hitting our stride.
Oh, okay. Well, no, we can keep going then. No, I don't want to call the party early, you know? Yeah. Luke says, I have a question. I was taught altered scale used on a minor 5-1 looking at Donna Lee. Minor 5-1 looking at Donna Lee? The melody uses altered scale from F7 to B flat 7, and also E flat 7 to A flat, which suggests you can use altered on major 5. What does that mean, major 5-1, as opposed to, you mean going to a minor
instead
or
of going
to a major?
Yeah. So,
okay.
So the conventional wisdom is you use the altered going to, right, a minor chord, but you could use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But what is he talking about melody-wise? That?
No, because I think that's all. That's diminished, right?
No, you know what that is? That's the B flat harmonic minor, right?
Oh, the ascending. Oh no, right, harmonic.
Harmonic, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I'm trying to think of another place in that tune.
Maybe there. Yeah, because that's 5 to a major 1. But that's just as much diminished as it is altered.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the same part. It would be the diminished.
Maybe let's see.
We're trying to work it out here, Luke. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Harmonic minor.
Yeah. But I mean, I think in general, like 5-1 or 5 to minor 1 with the altered, I almost kind of like there's more drama with it built in when it's
like
to a major.
Ramping up the level of
because
tension.
When it's like you've already got that minor third in it.
Yeah.
And it just stays there. The flat 13 becomes the minor third, right?
Yeah. I use altered all the time going to major chords for sure. What I don't do a lot of would be like a straight an unaltered dominant going to a minor. Like a G7 to a C minor 6, right? Like
that's illegal, man.
Like that wouldn't really happen. Like that sounds terrible to me.
Well, you know, the jazz police are in effect. That's how we do it.
Cool. Well, thank you, everybody. I think that should be
thank you guys for being here.
I think you were correct. Your instincts were correct that just a little bit, an hour, that's just a perfect amount.
Well, yeah, I think we start to fade after that, but also we've got some audio podcasts to record next.
We still have an audio podcast?
We still have an audio, and we're even I don't want to tease this out there, but we're considering can you hear me?
What the hell did you
back
say?
to DAYL.
Going back to daily.
Shh, don't say it.
Oh, 5 days a week. That's not even daily. That's just 5 days a week.
I know, exactly. We haven't been Did we start out daily?
We started out 7 days a week. Come on.
So dogmatic.
So
we were
stupid.
so desperate then for love.
So
we were desperate for
dumb.
love. Cool. So thank you guys for being here. We are here every Monday at the You'll Hear It Live program. This is like a sitcom. We consider us Laverne and Shirley, Iggy and Squiggy. What were their names? Squiggy and Squally.
No, it was Squiggy and Lenny.
Lenny and Squiggy.
Yeah, Lenny and Squiggy.
Caricatures.
How do I know that? That was before my time.
That was because you had Adult Swim or something when you were growing up on cable TV.
Cool. Thank you, everybody, for the great questions today. Holy smokes, these were good.
Yeah, I'm going to see if we can get something working here, Adam. You let me know if maybe some, we're just talking casually.
Just talking.
And nothing's happening.
Thanks, Johnny. Thank you, Melody. Thank you, Alex. Thanks, Luke. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us. We'll be back here next Monday as well at, of course, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. And until then,
you'll hear it.